Hi everyone, this morning we're going to look at trigonometry. It's a paper 2 topic, a very important topic. Again, it'll always come up, and we're going to look at an example here. Alright, so this question here is like 2019 paper 2, question 9, but if you go back through all the years you'll see questions very similar to this. Alright, so what I've done is I've just done out my triangle. It's not a right angle triangle, hence why I have my log tables in my hand. We're going to be looking at page 16 of our log tables, and because it's not right angled, it's the top of the page that we're looking at. Okay, so on the top of the page we have the area, we have the sine rule and the cosine rule. Now, we're going to find BC, so I've started this question off and I've picked the cosine rule. Now, why am I using the cosine rule? Well, I have this side here, 6 meters, and I have this side here, which is 4.5 meters, and I have this angle here, 30 degrees. So I have two sides and I have an angle, and I'm looking for a third side. That's why I use the cosine rule. Right, so from my log tables, a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. Now, let's fill in what is what. Okay, I'm going to call this A, small a, what I'm looking for. So this is going to be my capital A, my angle, B and C. It doesn't matter which is B and which is C, but what is very key is that this is small a, my side A, hence this is my angle A opposite A. Okay, so I'm just going to fill in my formula then. So it's 4.5 squared plus 6 squared minus 2, 4.5, 6, and then the cos of 30 degrees. Alright, so that is what a squared is, the side that I'm looking for, B to C. I'll then get my calculator and I'll put all this into my calculator. Okay, once I've done that, I'm going to get a squared is equal to 9.4846. Alright, then get my calculator again. I'm looking for a, not a squared, so I'm going to get the square root of 9.4846. Okay, and that's going to give me an answer of 30797. Now, my last step to get full marks is depending on how many decimal places they want me to go to. Alright, in this question here they had said to go to 2 decimal places, so my answer will be 3.08 meters. Okay, so I can now write that in here. 3.08 meters. Okay, so I've used the cosine rule. Just to recap, why did I pick the cosine rule? I have two sides and an angle, and I'm looking for this other side. Alright, so the cosine rule, the other rule, when it's not a right angle triangle, is the sine rule, and I'm going to use that now. So my next step is I'm going to find, let's just go over the page. So I'm going to find the length of angle ABC. Right? So angle ABC. ABC. So this angle in here. So I might just quickly just draw a sketch of that again. Remember, this is 30 degrees, this is 3.08, this is 4.5, and this is 6. Right. And what I'm looking for is this angle here. Right, so I have 3 sides, I have one angle, and I'm looking for the other angle. Okay? So I'm going to use the sine rule here to solve this. Right, by sine rule from my log tables, A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C, but I only need these two parts of the formula, right? So let's name it. Okay, remember from the last part, I call this A, I'm going to call this capital A. Now this has to be capital B because this is what I'm looking for, so this will be small b. And I'll fill in. Okay, so it will be 3.08 over the sine of 30 degrees equals B, which I'm saying is 4.5 over sine B. So that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I have one fraction equal to another. Now there's various ways, and different teachers will do this slightly different. What I like to do here is to cross multiply top by bottom, just to get rid of my fractions. So what I'd be saying on the next line is 4.5 multiplied by sine 30 degrees is equal to 3.08 sine B multiplied by sine B. And this is being multiplied by this, so on the next line I'm going to bring this over and divide. Alright, so I might just show that by just dividing 3.08 here and dividing 3.08 here. They'll cancel, so this is what's going to be sine B. Okay. At this point then, I'll get my calculator and put all this into my calculator. Alright. When I do that, I'm going to get an answer of 0.7305. Okay, so that's sine B. Now, I'm still not finished there yet. I have a lot of my calculations, a lot of my work done, but I need to find B, not just sine B. Alright, so when sine comes across, remember if we look at our calculators just very carefully, we have the sine button on our calculator, but above that in yellow is sine minus 1, inverse sine. That's what I'm going to use here. Okay, so just going to write what I put into my calculator. Sine minus 1, 0.7305, and that's going to give me this angle B that I'm looking for. So with my calculator, shift the sine button, sine inverse comes up, 0.7305 equals, and it gives me an answer of 46.92 degrees. Now, I haven't put the question up there, but what they're asking us in the question is to the nearest degree. So this 9, it's bigger than 5, so it's going to change the 46 to a 47 degrees is equal to B. Okay, so slowly but surely I'm finding out all the information of this. Okay, right, so to recap, I've used the two formulas that are used there for triangles that are not right angled. The cosine rule, first of all, I was finding a side, I had two sides, one angle, and then I used the sine rule when I had three sides at that stage, but I was using two sides and an angle to look for the other angle. Okay, now let's jump back to my original question. Okay, and in an exam paper question we would constantly be doing this, especially with trigonometry. Now, if we look at it, and we're going to just go into detail into this small triangle here. I have a right angle triangle here because of my line, dotted line going down there, Y. And I also have a right angle triangle on this side. Again, my dotted line, Y. Okay. Now, the next part of this question that we're going to do is we're going to find the height of that line. Alright, so find Y. Okay, so what they're calling it in the question is the height of the roof. Okay, so the height of the roof. Right, rather than draw the whole thing, I'm just going to draw what I need. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to call that y, that's what it is in the question. 30 degrees, and this is 4.5 meters. Okay, it's a right angle triangle. So it's different than what I've been using so far. It's my sine, cos or tan. Right. I don't know the measurement of this. Remember from there over to the end it was 6 meters, but I don't know that measurement. But I have enough information there to solve this. Step 1 is to name the sides. Okay, so it's this is my angle, so this is my opposite, this is my hypotenuse, and this is my adjacent. Okay, my second step would be just to write out my formulas. Sine A is O over H, cos A equals the adjacent over H, the hypotenuse, and tan A, tan of my angle, is the opposite over adjacent. Okay, right, so we would have come across these in our junior cert as well. Alright, saying I like to use to remember it: silly old Harry caught a herring trawling off America. Okay, there's plenty of other ones, so again, use what's comfortable with yourself. What have you learned from your teacher in school? Okay, so just to recap: silly old Harry caught a herring trawling off America. Now, I need to decide which one of these three I'm going to use to find y. Okay, so let's look. I'm going to start at the bottom. Tan O over A. I don't know O, I don't know A. Can't use that in this case. The cos A over H, I could use that, but I'd find the adjacent, and that's not what I'm looking for. So I could use it to find this side, but it's not going to get me to find y. So I won't use that. And then, through trial and error, I am going to use this. Looking for O, my y, and I have my hypotenuse. Okay, A is my angle, 30 degrees. So sine of 30 degrees equals O over H, which is y over 4.5. Right, so 4.5 is on the bottom. I'm going to bring this across and I'm going to multiply. So 4.5 multiplied by sine 30 degrees is going to give me my y. Okay. Calculator work now. Now, it's not sine inverse I'm putting in this time, it's just sine. Alright, so I just grab my calculator. 4.5 multiplied by sine 30 gives me an answer of 9 over 4. SD button just to change it, which will be 2.25 meters is y. Okay, I could just ask myself a little question. H is my hypotenuse, it should be the longest side. Right, 4.5 is longer than 2.5, so that's just a little quick check to make sure that I've done the correct work and I've got the correct answer. Okay, so that is using my trigonometric function sine, cos and tan. In this case I use sine opposite over hypotenuse. Alright. Let's just stay with this question for a second. I want to double check if I'm correct. Right, remember at the start we had this. Okay, and remember in the question we found out this was 47 degrees. This is my y now. And also, didn't we know the this side we found to be 3.08. Okay, so just for anyone that's a little bit unsure, where did I get all this from? From this triangle here at the very start, 3.8, and remember the 47 degrees in the last part. Now, so same thing. Firstly, I'm going to name my sides, right? So this is my angle this time, so this is my opposite. This is my longest side, my hypotenuse, opposite the right angle, and this is my adjacent. Okay? Again, we'll be going through the steps, And again, we'll come to the conclusion that we're still going to use sine here. Now, it's not sine 30 like we tried in the last part. So sine 47 degrees equals O, which is y over 3.08. Again, like the 4.5, it's on the bottom, so we bring it across and we're going to multiply. 3.08 sine 47 degrees equals my y. Okay, again, we'll get our calculator to work this out. 3.08 brackets sine 47 degrees, or multiply by 47 degrees. Okay, now it doesn't give me exactly the same answer. It gives me 2.2525 equals y. So, but to 2 decimal places, 2.25 meters is y. Okay, so I'm just going to put an R in there because we could have done either of those two methods to get my answer for y. Alright, and they come to be the same answer to 2 decimal places. Just why is this one a little bit different to this one? Well, remember, we were rounded this answer 2 decimal places back in part 1. Remember, we were rounded this to the nearest degree as well. Okay, so that's why it's a little bit different, okay, in our answer. But to 2 decimal places, it's the same answer. In an exam, you could use either of these two to get our y. So basically, are we looking at the triangle on the left hand side, or are we looking at the triangle on the right hand side in order to find y? Okay. Right, so at this stage we've used sine rule, cosine rule for the triangle that wasn't right angled, and then we used sine, cos and tan. There's one thing in terms of trigonometry that we haven't used that I'm going to go on to the next page and do, and that is Pythagoras' theorem. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this triangle here, and I'm just going to find my adjacent. So remember, if we just draw it again, okay, so right angle triangle, okay, 4.5 meters. This is my adjacent that I didn't know, and remember we found this to be 2.25. Okay, remember that was our y. Alright, so if I was to ask to find this side, I can use Pythagoras' theorem. Now I know this angle is 30 degrees, but I'm not going to say, for instance, I didn't know that. Okay, I have two sides looking for the third side. So Pythagoras' theorem: c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Again, just to recap, page 16, log tables. Now, c is the hypotenuse, it's the longest side. So I have 4.5 squared equals, I'm going to call this side A, 2.25 squared, put it in brackets, and I might put that in brackets as well, plus b squared. Okay. Next step is to get my calculator maybe and calculate what is 4.5 squared and what is 2.25 squared. So 4.5 squared gives me 81 over 4, change will give me 20.25 equals 2.25 squared is 5.0625 plus b squared. Now, I need to get b on its own, so ultimately I need to get b squared on its own. First of all, I'm going to move this across. It's positive, so when it comes across it's going to become negative. 20.25 minus 5.0625 is equal to my b squared. Right, so I'll take them away. 20.25 minus 5.0625 will give me an answer of 15.1875 is equal to b squared. Okay, and I'm going to get the square root of that. because I'm looking for B. Equals B, and just finally the square root of 15.1875 equals 9 root 3 over 4. I'd like it as a decimal form. SD button. 3.897111. Let's go now. Let's go to two decimal places here with this. So we're looking at this 7. It's bigger than 5. So it's going to round this 9 up. What will happen, because it's a 9, it will be go to 3.90 meters equals B. Okay, so that's Pythagoras' theorem. It's very commonly asked formula. It's used a lot. So I'd imagine at some point in your Leaving Cert you will have to use that formula. Okay, so just to recap, we have used everything on page 16. Bar the area of a triangle formula. So in terms, we've used the sine rule, the cosine rule, we've used sine, cos, tan for a right angle triangle, we've used Pythagoras' theorem again for a right angle triangle. Okay. You will definitely be asked to use 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 of these in your exam. So these formulas are very important, not just to know how to use them, but when to use them. Okay. Thanks very much for listening, and I hope that you got something from that. Thank you. Hi everyone. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to look at a patterns question. Alright, so sequences and series. Alright, generally it's a paper 1 question, and there's a question very similar to this in the 2017 paper. Okay, so what I've done is I've done out a little table. Maybe in the exam they might have asked us to fill in this table at an earlier stage. What I've done is month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, and the amount in an account. Alright, so in this case what they're saying, it's a monthly contributions is 250, then 255, 260, 265, 270, and so on. Alright. So the question asks us here, first of all, show that the monthly contributions form an arithmetic sequence. Okay, so what is a rhythmic sequence? Let's look at what's happening each time. Right, well, it was 250, it's now 255. So we've added €5. We've added another €5, added another €5, added another €5. So yes, it's an arithmetic sequence, as in it's going up the same amount each time. Alright, so how could I show that? Well, what I could do is, as I've said, it's going up by 5, and what I could do is I could show that this is plus 5. Again here, plus 5. And again here, plus 5. Alright, so let's say a conclusion to this. The first difference is the same, or we could use the word constant, plus 5 each time. Okay, so it's a linear sequence, it is arithmetic. Alright, so that'd be enough. That'd be probably a 5-mark part of this question. Show that the monthly contributions form an arithmetic sequence where it is going up the same amount each time, plus €5 each time, so it's constant. It is a rhythmic sequence. Okay, right, still on the same question. Now we're going to use some of the formulas for an arithmetic sequence. Okay, so the first part then, find in terms of n a formula for the nth month of the sequence. Okay, so I'll have to get my log tables. And if we look at our log tables, and if we go to page 22, I'll just bring this up close just so we can all see. Our log tables, the Tn formula and the Sn formula, right? Where A is the first term, D is the common difference. Okay, so they told me that information in the log tables. Now, what I'm looking for, first of all, find in terms of n a formula for the nth month. Okay, so the formula that I'm going to use here is the first one, the Tn formula. Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 d. Okay, so like we just said, page 22, log tables. Right, A is the first term, so if we just maybe jump back. What was my first term? It was 250. D was the common difference. As we spoke about, D then would be 5. So I'll just write over here. I'll write in a different colour. A is equal to 250. D is equal to 5. Right. So there are the letters I'm going to fill in for A and D. Okay, these two values. N just stays at n. Why? Because find in terms of n. N is going to be in my answer. Right, so let's calculate this. First of all, we'll put in our values. 250 plus n minus 1 by 5. Right, so 5 is being multiplied by this. That's the next step I'm going to do here. 250 plus 5 by n gives me 5n. 5 by minus 1 is minus 5. Okay, and finally the last step, 250 minus 5 would be 245 plus 5n. Right, find in terms of n formula for the nth month. That is my formula. So now I can find any number of months. Okay, so I can figure out how much money is in this scheme after 100 months by putting in 100 for n. Alright, if we could leave it 5n plus 245 either. Alright, so find in terms of n a formula for the nth month. I've used a Tn formula. Okay, so this formula is used an awful lot or asked an awful lot. That's how we do it out. Okay, again, page 22 of our log tables. And like I've said earlier, this is like question 7. Question 7, paper 1 in 2017. Okay, so what I'd encourage you to do now is maybe go to that question and see can you do the question which is very similar to this. Alright, we're still on the same question. Next part. Which month does she contribute €400? Okay, so she's contributed €250 after month 1, $255 after month 2, and so on. Right. Now, based on what I did, they might say in the question, hence or otherwise, use the formula. Well, I know the formula from the last part. Remember, it was 5n plus 245. Okay. So based on that, I can say it's equal to 400. I've created an equation and I can solve it using that. Okay. So my next step, 5n is equal to 400 minus 245. Okay, so it was positive, comes across and becomes negative. When we take that away, 5n would be equal to 155. Now I'm not looking for 5n, I'm looking for n. So I can divide them. It's multiplying on this side, brings across and divide. So remember, maybe recap those that were looking at the algebra last week. And divide, and then divide. N is equal to 31. Okay? So the 31st month, basically, we're saying the contribution would be €400. Okay, so what did I just do there? I used my answer from the last part. Again, like I said, in the question, in the exam paper question, they'll probably say hence or otherwise. So from the formula or otherwise, figure this out. So just to go back, I have my formula here and I let it equal to 400. Now, what happens in the exam if we weren't able to do the last part? Does that mean we can't do this part? No. Well, we could just count up. That's the otherwise. You could say 250, 255, 260, 265, 270, 275, and so on. Month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5, month 6, and if we keep counting up, adding 5 each time, we'll eventually get 400. When will we get to 400? At the 31st number, the 31st month. Okay, so don't panic if you're not able to get your formula. You can still get this part of the question. That's why they're saying hence or otherwise. If you're not able to use what you have previous, use what the knowledge that you have maybe from the first part or from the table at the very start. So there's no need to panic if we can't get our formula out. Okay, so I would encourage us to be able to understand what we're saying here too. Okay, so we've looked at Tn. Let's move on. Still the same question. What are they going to ask us next? Okay, again, find in terms of n a formula that gives the sum. Okay, that's the key word there, sum. Another they might say is total, right? The sum or the total, right? Generally they say that sum. The sum means they're adding them together, okay, for our contributions. Right, again we need to go back to our log tables. This time, remember what we spoke about for a rhythmic sequence. We've used the Tn formula. Now we're going to use the Sn, S standing for the sum. So that's why the sum there is a key word. Sn equals n over 2, 2a plus n minus 1 d. Okay, and again, a, remember from the last part, is 250. It's still the same pattern, so the first term is still a. It's still going up by 5, so d is still 5. Now, so again, n stays in our formula, so we'll fill in as we've done before. N over 2, 2 brackets 250 plus n minus 1 by 5. Okay, so the only difference here is there's maybe a little bit more work to do in this formula. Right, so I'm not doing anything with my n over 2 here yet, so I'll still leave it as n over 2. And I'm going to multiply out what I can in my brackets. 2 multiplied by 250 is 500. So I have 500. N by 5 is 5n plus 5n. 5 by minus 1 is minus 5. Okay, so I have done all my multiplication in my brackets. Now, next, I'm just going to do a little bit more multiplying in my brackets. N over 2, or sorry, not multiplying, I'm going to do more calculations. 500 minus 5 will be 495 plus 5n. Okay, and that's my answer. Now, depending on what they look for, you might multiply in the n, or we might divide by the 2. Okay, but if this was just a question, find in terms of n a formula, there's my formula, and we're happy enough to leave it like that. Alright, just if we were to divide in and multiply, just to show you, right, n multiplied by that would be 495n, n by 5n, n by n is n squared, so plus 5n squared divided by our 2. Okay, so if we did need to go a step further, there it is, our answer in blue. Okay, but just like I've said previous, this is perfectly okay to leave as our answer, just depending on what way they ask it maybe at the end, if they wanted its unique type of way. Right. So now that is my formula in terms of n, and it's for the sum. Okay, so what we've done there is we have done our two formulas on page 22 of our log tables, the Tn and the Sn formula on page 22 of an arithmetic sequence. Again, just to recap as well, very similar question in 2017 paper question 7, paper 1. I'd encourage you to go and try and go through that question. they might ask you next part then maybe to figure out if this was and let this equal to something. Okay, I hope you got something valuable from that bit on patterns, and thanks very much for listening. Hi everyone, I'm just going to look at a simultaneous equations question. Alright, so those of you that were looking at the algebra section that we done last week, it is a similar type question. However, this time it has squares in it. Okay, so the question is solve the simultaneous equations. X plus y equals 2, x squared plus y squared equals 20. Alright, so this question is 2014 paper 1, question 3, part B. Alright, so a similar question is, so I'd encourage you to go and do this question once we've gone through this. What I would say about this question, it is tricky in places, but even if we can start it off, we'll get some marks for even starting the question off. Alright, so let's look at the top line first of all, and I'm going to move this line around. Alright, so I'm either going to get x on its own or y on its own. Let's get y on its own. So y is equal to 2. This is an x positive. If I bring it across, it becomes negative. So now I know that y is equal to 2 minus x. Now I'm going to look at my second line, and instead of y, I'm going to put in that 2 minus x. So I have x squared plus 2 minus x to be squared equals 20. Okay, so up here I can't solve this because I don't know x, I don't know y. 2 letters that I don't know. However, once I put it into this form, I can solve it because now there's only 1 letter that I don't know. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go over to one side and I'm going to multiply out. So I'm going to multiply this out. Just x, 2 minus x multiplied by 2 minus x. Where am I getting this from? Well, it's 2 minus x squared, so that's multiplying it by itself. The only reason I'm only doing it over here is just I don't want to complicate the sum over here. So I'm going to multiply this out. 2, open the brackets, 2 minus x, and minus x brackets, 2 minus x. Okay, so multiplying out of brackets. 2 by 2 is 4. 2 by minus x is minus 2x. Minus x by 2, again minus 2x. Minus by minus plus x multiplied by x will give me x squared. And I can just simplify that down one step further. 4 minus 4x plus x squared. Right. So that's just my workings for my squared part here. So what I might do is I'll bring that all over back to my black pen. So I have x squared plus 4 minus 4x plus x squared equals 20. I'm going to add and subtract what I can. I'm also going to do something else in this step. I'm going to move this 20 over to this side, over to the left hand side. So it's positive here, it'll be minus when it comes over. So x squared and x squared, so I have 2x squared minus 4x plus 4 minus 20 equals 0. And finally then 2x squared minus 4x plus 4 minus 20 gives me minus 16 equals 0. Okay, so at that stage I have a quadratic equation. Right? And x squared and x and a number equals 0. Again, just recapping back to last week to algebra that we spoke about, we've done a few questions like this. It would be the minus b formula. We're factorising. Now, we could use guide number or factorising either, because these should be whole numbers that we get. So there's various different ways that we can do this at this stage. Okay. What I'm going to do, maybe first of all, is I notice that these are all can be divided by 2. So I'm actually going to divide by 2 on this line just to make my sum easier for myself. X squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Okay. So like I said, at this point now we can use the minus b formula, guide number. I'd encourage you to use whatever method that you're most comfortable with. Okay. Just for purpose of recapping last week, I'm going to do the minus b formula here. So what I might do is I give myself a bit of space. I'm going to put this on the next page. So it is x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Alright. Remember, back to minus b formula, it is on page 20 of our log tables. So minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Alright, so that's what x is equal to. Now, a, b and c. A is the number in front of x squared. There's no number there. That's why this is important, just that we don't make a mistake here. It's seen as the number 1. So A is 1. B is the number in front of x, so B is minus 2. And then C is the number on its own, so C is minus 8. Again, like we had last week, minus B is equal to minus 2. So minus B is going to be 2. Right. Let's solve. Let's put in. Okay, so 2 plus minus minus 2 squared minus 4 brackets a, which is 1, brackets c, which is minus 8, over 2 brackets. We put this into our calculator. Now we put it in twice to get 2 answers, one with the plus and one with the minus. Okay. Remember, when we're putting it into our calculator, that we hit the fraction button first of all, then put all this in and what's on the bottom. Okay, so when we do that, we're going to get 2 values. We're going to get x is equal to minus 2, and we're going to get x equals 4. Okay, so just to say one more time, I use the minus b formula here. You can use other factorizing, as in the guide number, the box method. I've got my 2 values for x, so I've solved the simultaneous equations. I just now need to go back to the very start. Remember what I had at the very start, and that I said that y was equal to 2 minus x. I'll just write it over here again. Y equals 2 minus x. Okay. So instead of x, I'm going to put in minus 2. So y equals 2 minus 2. Y is equal to 2 minus is a plus. Y equals 4. So on this side, when x equals minus 2, y is equal to 4. I'm going to do the sum over here then as well. Y equals 2 minus 4. So y is equal to 2 minus 4 is minus 2. And on this side, when x is equal to 4, y is equal to minus 2. Alright, so that's my sum finished. This would be probably a 10, maybe even a 15 mark question. A short question in paper 1, simultaneous equation. So just to, let me jump back and just, because there's a lot in that, just let me just go quickly through a few bits and pieces, alright? There's a lot in it, as in they're asking us an awful lot. The first step was that I rearranged this, got y on its own. So brought x over, it became 2 minus x. So now at that stage I knew that what y was. Y was 2 minus x. So on the line number 2, instead of y I put in 2 minus x. So I had x squared plus 2 minus x to be squared equals 20. Right, so now there's just x in my sum. I work this out. Okay, remember 3 squared would be 3 multiplied by 3, which is 9. Okay, so what is 2 minus x squared? Well, it's 2 minus x multiplied by 2 minus x. I broke up my brackets, did my multiplication, and subtracted minus 2x to give me minus 4x in the middle. All that, I put it back into my sum. Okay, at that stage I added my x squareds, had my minus 4x, and I brought my 20 across to become minus 20. Did my final calculation here, plus 4 minus 20 give me minus 16. So ultimately I had this. Now I just saw that it was these were all multiples of 2 and divided by 2. If I didn't see that, I would still have got the same answer at the very end. Okay, so if you don't see that, no need to worry. You could have done the minus b formula or guide number on this. I was able to simplify it to this because I saw divided by 2, but not to worry if you don't see that. Either of these two then we would use factorising. I decided to use minus b formula just to practice that from what we had done last week. Wrote out my formula from page 20 of the log tables. Named what a was. A was 1, b was minus 2, and c was minus 8. Filled in my values instead of a, b and c into my formula. Calculator work then. Remember, press the fraction button first of all. Type our values in. Do it once with the plus. We get an answer. Do it the other time with the minus and we get another answer. The answers I got was x is equal to minus 2 and x equals 4. Finally, that's the majority of my marks I got now at this stage. I've found my 2 values for x. Just don't forget, because the simple marks at the end, if you've got that far, don't forget to finish off your sum and go back and figure out what y is. Where did I get this in blue? Well, the very first line at the start I said what y was. Put in my values for x and solved, got my answers for y. Okay, so simultaneous equation, different from what we did last week, as in this time there were squares in it. If you look through your exam papers, this can come up quite a bit as well, so it's important that we have a good understanding of it, or at least be able to do some areas of it, at least be able to get it started. Okay, I hope you've got something very good from this and that you were able to take something away. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.